Now, I want to tell you something extremely important. When they took out the brain of Albert Einstein, do you know what they found? They found that his brain is not that different from the brain of a normal person. Now, the weight of a normal person, the brain weight of a normal brain is 1500, or between 1500 and 1600. But what the scientists found when they took out the brain of one genius, a writer, when they took out the brain of a sick genius, they saw that in grams, his brain is between 1100 and 1200. Do you know why? Because he was sick, he was neurotic, he was psychotic, he was epileptic, he had seizures, and he was mostly alone. Carl Jung once said, "Ignorance is not a bliss." Lack of social, sexual contact is very, very, very painful indeed. What I want to say that we have internal dialogue in our heads. This internal dialogue determines and defines who we really are. It determines our future, and the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. Sometimes there's a discrepancy between our thinking or and the things we talk and how we act in this world. So there should not be any discrepancy between your thinking and the way you talk, walk, and act in the world. You see, we have conscious mind and unconscious mind. The conscious mind can handle one thought at a time, positive or negative. So it resembles like a rotating coin. If we flip the coin on the negative side, this means we have put negative thought in our conscious mind. And if we think positively, we have flipped this coin to the positive side. And this means that we determine how our conscious mind will be charged, positively or negatively. And remember, your unconscious mind handles maybe 10 million processes at the same time. Remember that the unconscious is your servo mechanism. It can work for you or against you, and this depends on your conscious mind. If you put a negative thought, this negative thought goes down and affects this mechanism under your conscious mind. If you put in your unconscious mind too much negative thoughts, your unconscious mind starts to work against you. So you 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 create your own failure mechanism in contrast to the success mechanism. If you put positive thoughts, in your unconscious mind, your unconscious mind starts to work for you and becomes your success mechanism. Now, let's see this picture right here. This is an open skull. The brain is exposed, so we see the central groove here, some veins, grooves, etc. Your brain is consists of two hemispheres, so this means that the functions are separated. This is what we call lateralization. The left brain is associated with rational thinking, with reasoning, with meaning, with mathematical thinking, while the right hemisphere is associated more with imagination, with surrealism, and so forth and so on. Now, there's a minus and plus sign on each side, and that's because you can make you can make your rational thinking to work for you or positively, or to make your rational thinking to work against you, to charge it negatively. The same is with your fantasy and imagination. You can make your imagination and fantasy work for you, or positively charged imagination, or it can be the opposite. So your functions can work for you or against you. And let's say here in the frontal lobe, there's an idea popping up, idea for action. But before the action, the electrical impulse travels here, and a cluster of neurons asks you, your conscious, are you sure? So there's a time gap, maybe less than a 1 second, a time gap between your idea and your action. And if this idea is negative, you have a time to prevent this idea for being realized. So you should be not only smart enough, but fast enough. You see, everything we perceive with our eyes is a light. So this light, once entering the eyes, turns into an electrical impulse. And this electrical impulse travels through a bundle of neurofibers and enters the brain. And when this impulse enters the brain creates a subjective representation of what you actually perceived in your external world. Let's say we perceive the death of someone whom we love. This doesn't only create the image representation of our loved one, but the brain has the power to create the exact feeling and emotion associated with our perception. Now, let's say this is a human body, but it's sliced on two. So we see the brain here, we see the medulla, the hurt. And what we have here is greed, fear, and laziness. And fear is a very, very powerful drive. We have fear of poverty, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of death. And let's say fear starts here in your cerebral cortex, like a seizure. So this impulse propagates and covers all your brain and then transmits to your small brain here. Your breathing will deteriorate, your heartbeat will your heart will start to beat faster. This impulse will propagate down to your spinal cord, and you will start to feel stiff and numb. You will lose concentration, you will lose control, and fear is associated with stress. Or the other name for fear is stress response. Fear is a conditional and deeply inherited habitual response, which can be controlled. But what about greed and laziness? We all are greedy in some extent, on some degree. We are all lazy, and that's normal. Just some people are more lazy and greedy than others. Remember, greed is not need. Greed is not need. Greed is when you want something only for yourself. And greed is when you you want something in infinite amount. You want something infinitely. And remember, greed cannot be satisfied. While need is something satisfiable, but greed is not. Laziness. Laziness is the so called the principle of least resistance or psychic inertia. Lazy people, all they want is something for nothing. Lazy people, they want the effect before the cause, and they strive to comfort and leisure and nothing else. And that's why they get poor results. Now I want to show you something. You see, this is a bullet. In one case, this bullet can hit our head and ricochet, but in some cases, this bullet can get straight into our heads and get stuck right here. And let's say this bullet is a thought. It can be negative or positive. When this bullet gets stuck right here, we say we have developed a fixed idea. So be sure your fixed ideas are positive and not negative. And one final tip for you is by changing your personality, you change your reality. So I want these thoughts to get stuck in your head. And remember, the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. Thanks for watching.